here with another video. Today we're breaking down the Indiana Fever versus Atlanta Dream game. And yes, the Fever came out on top. But before we dive in, let me just say, this was a preseason game. That's important. Everything I say from here on, good or bad, comes with that context. Preseason is all about experimenting. Teams try out different lineups, test new plays, and players may either go all out or take it easy, depending on what coaches want to see. So keep in mind, what happens now might look very different once the regular season starts. And as we all know, a great preseason doesn't always lead to regular season success. We've seen it in every league, NFL, MLB, you name it. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about Lexie Hull. What a game. She was incredible. No way the Fever win without her big-time effort. She made smart, game-changing plays from start to finish. Before we get deeper into the game though, we need to talk about Sophie Cunningham. She had a tough break, went up for a rebound, and landed awkwardly on someone's foot. Looked like a rolled ankle. It's a common injury, but still tough to watch. No official update yet, so let's hope it's nothing serious. Now let's talk about the broadcast, and I'll keep it brief. Between the shaky camera work, confusing angles, and so-so commentary, it was honestly hard to watch. There were even moments where a player was shooting a free throw, and the camera cut to a close-up of their face instead of the basket. So we're all sitting there thinking, did the shot go in? That kind of stuff shouldn't happen. There's a basic structure to filming basketball, and they just didn't follow it. I could go on about it, but I'll leave it there for now. As for Sophie Cunningham, we're all hoping it's nothing serious. Looked like a classic ankle roll, painful in the moment, but hopefully it's just a minor tweak. With some ice and rest, maybe she's good to go by opening night. Fingers crossed. Now, Lexie Hull. Let's give her the credit she deserves. She played 23 minutes, went 6 of 12 from the field, 2 of 3 at the line, and finished with 14 points. She also grabbed 5 rebounds, 4 of them on the offensive end, which helped set up key plays. Add in 4 assists, a steal, and 0 turnovers. And get this, I'm pretty sure all 14 of her points came in the fourth quarter. That's serious clutch performance. The Fever needed that win, because let's be honest, the shooting wasn't great. They ended the game at 43%, 8% from the field. Not terrible, but definitely not sharp. From three-point range, they hit 34%, 8%, which is decent, but not exactly lights out. Still, they found a way to pull it off. Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and Lexie Hull, the 3 returning players, all scored in double digits and looked solid overall. Now, Kelsey had a few moments where she slipped into her old habits, trying to force things with isolation plays. That's something to watch. But to her credit, she's really stepping it up on defense. One defensive sequence in particular stood out, made me think, okay, she's really locked in. And that's a big deal for this team's development. Now let's be real, this wasn't a pretty performance. There were a few good moments, sure. But overall, the Fever didn't look sharp out there. And yes, the officiating didn't help. It was all over the place, but even with that in mind, they've got a lot to clean up. This was a tough one, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Aliyah Boston's minutes might need to come down a bit with the current roster. She just didn't look sharp out there. Missed several shots right around the basket, those 4 to 6 footers she normally makes. On defense, it wasn't much better. She got sealed off under the rim more than once, just stuck in the wrong position. One play really stood out. Sophie Cunningham came over to double, and Aliyah was supposed to rotate to the baseline. She didn't, and that led to an easy bucket for Atlanta. That kind of mistake can't happen. Now, she still does some good things, no doubt, but her effort and execution just aren't where they need to be right now. Hopefully she turns it around soon, because this team needs her playing at a higher level. As for tempo, it wasn't what I expected. The Fever didn't push the pace like they could have. There were flashes, some decent transition plays here and there. Caitlin Clark had 2 great passes in the third quarter that stood out, but overall, the pace felt pretty flat. Both of those great passes from Caitlin Clark in the third went to Dana Bonner. One led to free throws, the other to a layup. They looked fantastic, but the issue is, we just didn't see enough of that. In the half court, the offense was slow and stagnant. Hardly any movement, very little structure. It just felt flat. And here's what really frustrated me. Caitlin Clark was off the ball way too much. I said this might be a problem, and here we are. Now sure, it's preseason. They might be testing things out. Fine, but if they plan to keep this up during the regular season, fans won't stay tuned in. That's just the reality. Honestly, it was an ugly game overall. Atlanta wasn't much better. They shot 8% from the field and 30% from three. That matches what it felt like watching live. Just rough basketball on both ends. There were a few bright spots, sure. But if the Fever want to take that next step, there's a lot they need to clean up. And here's where I want to start. Yeah, knock on wood I can actually show it. Because this is the moment that had me shaking my head early on. I was actually talking to a few people during the game, and I said, it kind of feels like Stephanie White just turned into Christy Sides when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And honestly, I wasn't joking. For the entire first quarter, Caitlin was off the ball. She wasn't bringing it up. She wasn't running the offense. She was just there. And even worse, she spent several possessions parked in the corner while the offense played out without her. The ball didn't even look her way. That's not just bad strategy. That's a huge wasted opportunity. Her first bucket didn't come from a set play. She had to grab a rebound, push it down the floor herself, and go coast to coast for a layup, literally outpacing her own teammates just to get on the board. Yeah, she hit a three later on, so it's not like she didn't score, but that's not the point. The problem is how she was being used. It looked like every Fever fan's worst-case scenario, and for some of you who watched last season, it probably felt familiar, like that stretch under Christie's sides where Caitlin finally just said, "Forget it, I'll take over." We've seen this story before, and nobody liked it the first time. You remember those games where it felt like Caitlin just stopped listening to the bench and went out there doing her own thing? Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here. Maybe Stephanie White made a mid-game adjustment. Maybe it was part of some bigger plan. But I'm telling you, it felt way too familiar, and not in a good way. Now here's another play, again, set up by Caitlin Clark. She's pushing the tempo, eyes up, reading the floor. For a second, it looks like she's going to pull up and take the shot herself. You can even see the defense lean that way. But then, Sophie Cunningham makes a great cut, and Caitlin hits her perfectly in stride for the easy bucket. That's smart, unselfish basketball. And this is the point I keep trying to drive home. Good things happen when Caitlin is involved. Let her run the show, and the offense flows. When Caitlin Clark has the ball, even the plays that don't show up next to her name on the stat sheet are often because of her presence. Let me show you a quick example. Dana Bonner sets a screen, and the defense panics. Both defenders stay with Caitlin, terrified she's about to pull up for a shot. The result? Bonner's wide open for a clean three. Nothing but net. And that's the point people need to get. Even when Caitlin doesn't score, she changes the game. Her presence warps the defense. It creates space. That's why Kelsey Mitchell had the most efficient shooting season of her career last year. That's why Lexi Hull's three-point percentage started going up. It's not random. It's Caitlin. So if you're going to park her in the corner and keep the ball out of her hands, you're not just missing an opportunity. You're actively making your offense worse. It doesn't matter who else is on the court. You're lowering the team's ceiling. The tempo, the flow, the entire identity of the team. It all depends on letting Caitlin be Caitlin. She's not just a scorer. She's a playmaker, a tempo setter, and the engine that drives this team.
Steph just talked about how both you and Sophie come in with a lot of energy, a lot of fast switch pace. Just what's it been like with Sophie coming in and being able to play with her?
I mean, it's so fun. Sophie's so fun to play with. She has a different energy about her, something you can't teach, something you can't tell people to act like because you either have that or you don't. And being able to play with her, you feed off of that, and she feeds off the crowd feeds off her, so it's super fun. And I'm very grateful to get to play alongside her. It's going to be an exciting season. I think more than anything, we're a deep team, and I think everyone's really bought into trusting the process. This season, it might not start off super pretty, but we know that putting in the work, putting in, trust into the coaching staff, trusting each other, that by the end of the season we'll be exactly where we want to be. So just excited, with the progress we've made even over just 3.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, certainly, KK's ability to come in and impact from that post position. She doesn't try to force things. She allows things to come to her. She plays with great pace as a young player, and oftentimes you'll see young players play too fast. she's poised and she's ready when her number's called. And JB too. I mean, JB is dynamic. She's athletic. She has a great ability to get downhill. She and Kelsey are really deadly in that mid-range. She's a great rebounding guard. So it's a tough job to have to compare those two, because they just bring such different aspects to our team and to our game.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.